Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're on location at Beverley Westwood, and with the help of a few locals here we are going to look at the top 10 considerations for when buying your first camper van. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so number one on the list of considerations is the length of your van. Do you want a short wheelbase or a long wheelbase? My van is a short wheelbase measuring 4.89 metres. A long wheelbase is 40 centimetres longer at 5.29 metres. The extra 40 centimetres, you can tell by looking at them, fits in between the edge of the door and the wheel arch there, so you get just over a foot extra in length. Now obviously the plus point to that is you get more internal space, and you've got more options for your kitchen units and your seating, your bedding, etc, etc. The downside of a long wheelbase is parking mainly. Short wheelbase will fit in generally to a standard parking space like in the supermarket. A long wheelbase, there'll be a bit of overhang there, and again, if you're parking at the roadside, it's obvious, but you'll need a bit more room and it might be a bit more tricky to get into a parking space in a long wheelbase. Hello Daisy. Second on my list is the doors at the rear. Now, the most common is what they call barn doors, which there's a door on either side that opens sideways, as the name would suggest. Now, the majority of vans, as I spoke about earlier, are built for commercial purposes, and barn doors there are the preference if builders don't want to be opening and closing, or tradespeople in general don't want to be opening and closing big tailgates each time. But it seems to be the preferential option, and I think they do attract a higher price if your van has got a tailgate, which fortunately mine has. If I'm honest, I didn't even think about it when I bought it, but if I lift up the tailgate, you can see that one of the advantages is it's a bit like having an awning at the back of your van. You can sit on the seat there if you're at a concert or just enjoying a day out, and if it was a bit wet, started raining, you'd be sheltered from it, and you have the option of like using a shower, as I showed in my earlier video. Disadvantage with the tailgate is that you probably need a bit more room at the back to open it. So if somebody parks up tight behind you, you might struggle to get it open. And whereas barn doors open sideways, so you need less space in which to open them. But again, it's personal preference, which would suit you best. Okay, so the other thing about a tailgate is the fact that you can get one of these bike racks that I've got and fit it on them. You can get bike racks for barn doors, but they're often asymmetrical because they just hang on one door. So if you intend to carry bikes, you might think that's the better option. Now, this one Hermantrude, what's she doing? Okay, for the number 3 on the list, then we'll have a look inside, because what you need to think about is the number of travel seats. Now that can range from 2 to as many as 6. So as you can see in my van, I've got 2 individual cab seats with seat belts and what have you, and I've got a 2-seater bench at the back, which are both travel seats because they've got seat belts, so you can carry 4 people in total. Now these things overlap, these considerations, because if you, for example, had 3 children, then 4 travelling seats perhaps wouldn't be good enough for you if you're going to use it as your daily driver and take your kids to school and all that kind of thing. It's something you need to think about, because most cars, if you're trading in your car, most cars are at least got 5 travelling seats. So just be careful of that one, and that overlaps with the seating at the front and the layout in the back as well, and I'll explain more about that later. So that's something, a serious consideration. You don't want to drop a clanger and buy a seat buy a van that's only got 4 travelling seats if you need capacity of 5. So that's something to keep an eye on. You're all appearing in my video. Hey, no one's trying to get in. Look. Related to that, number 4 on the list is what kind of seats you want at the front. Again, most commercial vehicles, and most of these Volkswagens started out as a commercial vehicle, a transporter van, they will have a bench seat at the front. In other words, you can sit 3 across the front, including the driver, where the passenger seat is a double seat. Now, the obvious advantage is that you can carry an extra person. The disadvantage is, first of all, you haven't got the ability to walk through, which is what I like. I wanted 2 single cabin seats, because if it's pouring with rain, you don't really want to be getting out of the door and then climbing in through the side door, getting soaked, when you can simply get up and walk through the gap quite easily. You've got access to your fridge and your cupboards and everything else without having to go outside each time. The other advantage is that if you've got a swivel seat, it's much easier to swivel around an individual passenger seat. You can get ones that are 2-seaters that do swivel as well, but it's a bit of a faff, and you still have the problem of getting through the gap, if there is a gap, from the cabin into the living area. So that's something to think about. Okay, related to that is the number of berths. So we've talked about, it's not the same thing as the number of travelling seats. So how many people, if you're going to use it for holidays and weekends away and that, how many people do you envisage will be sleeping in the van? Going back, sorry, before I get onto that, going back to the travel seats, we've talked about the cabin seats, but travel seats, again, I've got 2 at the front, 2 at the back. As we've talked about, you can have 3 across the front, but if you have slimmer units, you can actually have 3 people sitting in the back seat as well, so that'd give you a total of 6. So that's something to think about. And one of your considerations is the layout, because that will, even if you want to convert it later, unless you took all the units out, you wouldn't be able to accommodate 6 people. So anyway, going back to the number of berths, different from the number of travelling seats, is how many people are going to be sleeping in it overnight. So generally, in a ordinary camper van such as this, it wouldn't have capacity for more than 4 people. So you'd have 2 sleeping on the converted bed, of course. You can't really realistically fit any more than that on the bed. And quite often the roof is given over to a bed. You can have them retrofitted as well. So you can get 2, usually children, but you can get 2 adults in them, sleep up there. So generally a maximum capacity of 4, unless you're going to go to the trouble of putting a drive-away awning up. So that's something else that you need to think about. Come on. Number 6, again, we'll step out again and talk about the roof. As you can see, mine is a pop top, which seems to be the preferred option. Now, none of them are made with pop tops, so whoever converts the vehicle chops a big hole in the roof and fits the pop top after the vehicle's left the factory. So there are various different makes, and it's essential that it's a reputable company that makes and fits your pop top. You can fit them after buying it, of course, if you choose what they call a day van that doesn't have a pop top and it's just an ordinary van that's got a bed and kitchen units fitted in it. But the other option is a high top. Some of those, I believe, are made by Volkswagen as a high top van, and some are done as part of the conversion. Now, the advantage of a high top, of course, is you have extra storage space because it's a permanent feature, and you don't have to mess about putting the pop top up and down every night. Disadvantages are it'll use more fuel because it'll create a bigger drag, but the main one would be the height restriction. So you need to think about where you're going to be going camping. You will struggle with a high top to get in a multi-storey car park, and a lot of ordinary car parks have those height restriction goalposts at the entrance. Now, you don't want to be ripping your roof off driving underneath one of those. So again, it's something to think about. Number 7 on the list is the layout of the van. This is a traditional side kitchen layout with the beds to the side of the kitchen units. Now, not all vans are like that. Some of them have kitchen at the back, and the front seats convert into 2 single beds, sometimes pushed together as a double as well. And because of that, the pop top is often put on the other way around, so you've got your standing height at the back of the van instead of the front. Now that's again personal preference, but sometimes they have the seat like a side bench at the side where my kitchen units are, with the kitchen further at the back. Quite often, because they're sideways facing, they're not travelling seats. So all these decisions kind of have a knock-on effect to the other considerations that we've talked about as well. So be mindful of that. Again, the long wheelbase, you have that extra space. So quite often they have a kitchen at the back, and sometimes they have a toilet and sometimes a shower fitted within the van. So that's possible because of the extra 40 centimetres that are available. But again, it has impacts on other things like storage space, particularly, and the layout of your van, and sometimes the number of travelling seats. So these things all combine. It's about what the essential ingredients are for yourself and how they all blend together. So that's the layout of the van. The other thing that I touched on in my introduction was the cab equipment. Again, how important is it for you? This has very little, as we've talked about before, no gadgets really whatsoever. But if cruise control, sat nav, automatic gearbox, air conditioning, they're all important to you, or if you're swapping your daily car for the van, it might consider them essential. So that's again a matter of personal preference. But some of the things, like my sat nav there, can be added afterwards. The only thing I would really like, I mean, this is the sacrifice I made, I suppose. Ideally, I'd want lots of gadgets in the cab, but of course, the price would have been higher. The only thing I really miss, if I'm honest, is cruise control. Because if you're doing long journeys on motorways, as we sometimes do, it's a bit of a bind not having cruise control. But there you go. That's number 8. Number 9 is related to the layout, and that's the type of beds that you have. As you've seen, mine are very basic, but most of them I think are rock and roll beds, similar to what I've got, but they usually got sort of built-in headrests and probably more sophisticated conversion method when it's changed into a bed. But a lot of them these days are what they call rib beds, RIB, which I believe is a French company, and I think they're very, very clever because unlike the bed that you've seen in my van, the base of the seat folds upwards and kind of turns over 180 degrees, and the back folds flat. Now the advantage of that is, as well as it being really clever and really quickly to turn the seats into a bed, is that you're actually sleeping on the back of the seats. So all the contours that you have for comfort while sitting on them, you actually sleep on the back, which is more like a mattress. Very clever indeed, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have those rib beds, because you can easily get a mattress topper like we have, and it really is comfortable. We just bought ours second hand for 40 quid, but you can pay £200 or more for a good quality mattress topper. So that's the bed situation. Well, the camping table's getting plenty of use today anyway, so didn't expect to be sharing my dining experience with a member of the local herd. Number 9 on the list is the equipment. Sorry, number 10. We've done number 9, haven't we? Is the equipment that you have when you buy the van. Now, my van didn't have most of the equipment I've now got in it. I've put it on afterwards. The obvious ones like the alloy wheels that I talked about, the wind out awning, and I'm not sure you can call it equipment, but the tinted windows, and of course the bike rack and the geyser that I showed you earlier that makes up the shower and provides you with hot water. All those things add up to quite a lot of money, and generally if the van's already got them, although it would be more expensive if it didn't have them, of course, it wouldn't be as expensive as buying them afterwards. On the other hand, it might have kit on it that you don't really need or want, so you're spending money unnecessarily. But if you buy like I did without any equipment, you can just pick and choose the things that you do want and sort of customise it according to your tastes and your needs. There's one of your friends, she's sitting down. Does that mean rain? Doesn't look likely. Do you mind? I use a porta potty. I'm sure you think I'm milking it now, and you've probably heard enough, and you think I'm talking bull. So, on that note, I will sign off now and say see you in the next video. So, I hope to see you then. Bye. Can I carry on filming now? Oh, you want to look inside the van as well, do you?